Hi, everyone. This is me, Salman Khwaja, and I have Hamad Hassan with me as my co-speaker. And we are truly honored to be on ZAPCon, the conference held by OVAS ZAP and the creators of OVAS ZAP. We would be sharing our story of OVAS ZAP, how we implemented in Pakistani Fintech. Let me introduce you to ourselves. My name is Salman Khwaja. I am basically manager application security in TPS Pakistan. In my day job, in my evening job, I am the chapter leader of OVAS Karachi. I'm also certified ethical hacker and Asana certified pro. My co-speaker is Hamadul Hassan. He's a security automation engineer. He has been Microsoft Hall of Fame. He has been featured in Microsoft Hall of Fame recently, and he is the actual person behind doing the automation of OVAS ZAP. So let me give you a brief introduction of my company where I work. We work in TPS Pakistan, which deals with roughly 80% of banks in Pakistan. You could see the logos of the banks right in front of your screen, which are Habib Bank, Jazz Cash, Standard Chartered Bank. Many banks are international banks. One of them is Brag Bank, which is in Bangladesh. And again, we are one bank which is powering up the electronic payment industry of Pakistan. One of the prime payment vendors. So imagine if there is one security loop, is there is one small problem in these applications, what would become what would be the catastrophe level of these banks, where on every payment, on every ATM swipe, on every shopping, on every online transaction, the payment transactions are going through those networks and ultimately through our source code. I would like to inform my audience here that we are just powering up the payment infrastructure, but my company doesn't take many cuts from per transactions. Although there are some agreements with some companies, but not with everyone. So today's agenda would be the importance of security automation, how we implemented ZAP in our environment. We'll be ending this with the demo and future improvements, followed up by question and answers. So the importance of security automation. What is security testing, application security? And basically, when we started testing our applications, we were testing on many different products, namely the products which are on different market segments, NetSpark, Qnitix. Everyone knows whenever they start, they look at these products, and one of these product that everyone looks is OVAS ZAP as well. So when I first went to OVAS ZAP, I was like, hey, this tool could be used in automation. And then when we went through its documentation, through its YouTube videos, through its wikis, we realized that this is a free software and it could be used in complete automation of our application security efforts. So we first started doing the manual testing, and then we started working on the automation of it. The importance of automation is you could test one application on one project, and then another project comes for the same requirements, for the same features. You do another test on it. From a testing point of view, from a security point of view, you have to do another test. But from a resource point of view, that resource is being wasted. Those tests should be automated, should be running, and should be improving. So we decided to automate everything. We write the automation test once, and we were ready to improve it with the product. And again, we run it as many times as possible. And after that, we thought that, hey, let's provide this automation to some other team in our company, be that a deployment engineer, be that a person who goes and deploys our applications in the production environment. Let them run this automation and see if there are any high or medium priority results are published. So we also did that as well. How we implemented ZAP in our environment is we use the following tools. We use Gauge, we use OVAS ZAP, and for Gauge, we use Python as a language. Then we have TFS agents in our pipeline, and again, we use command line. So we use amalgamation of these tools, and now we could say our pipeline of CI, continuous integration, is such that we just pick, we run one build, and after that, in that build, we give some parameters, and on those parameters, OVAS ZAP actually logs into our enterprise application. It grabs the basic components of the application. It knows that it is when it is logged into our environment. It knows when it's logged out from our environment, and then it performs the active and passive scan and everything else. So what we did was, during the automation, we parameterized some aspect of ZAP by looking at the ZAP APIs and by looking at our own environments. So, for example, these are actually the variables that we have used in our automation. We have given one target URL, which would be in a complete FQDN format. So that format would be our application URL. And then we have a login page URL. The reason for having a target URL and a login page URL is, at times, we would just want to do the spider of the application without logging into the application. So at that time, the variable target URL would be used. And if we would be saying to ZAP that, hey, go and log into this application, then we would be using the login page URL. Then login request data has the username, passwords, and the CSRF token data. Username and password, again, we instruct ZAP to log in to our application through this username and password. Logged in indicator, again, it's the indication of HTML that is being present in request for ZAP to know if it is logged in or not. And then we have some Boolean values, like spidering is set to true or false. Ajax spidering is set to true or false. Passive scan, true or false, and active scan, true or false. Passive scan brings out the security headers, the application basic issues which are security attacks, but which are related to server configuration. Active scan actually brings out the security vulnerabilities grabbed in the whole scan. So we have these things as Boolean values, so we could switch on and off as per our need. So let's move on to the demonstration. My colleague, my co-speaker Hamadul Hassan, would take over for the demo. Hamad, you're up.
I am Hamadul Hassan, and it's an honor for me to speak in ZAPCon 2021. So before starting the demo, I would like to show you our environment that we use here for the automation. So basically, here's the TFS from where we queue our build, and this is our agent machine that perform the task provided by the TFS. And in this scenario, when we run the build from the TFS, that build will be land here, and ZAP will be open and perform the scan against the target URL, and then generate the report, and that report will be attached over the TFS. So let's start by click the queue new build. And here we have some parameters, and the details of these parameters are already told you by the host speaker previously. And basically, we put the login page URL here, and we provide the username and password for the login purpose. And then we have some more parameters like the active scan and the passive scan. And for the spiding purpose, we break it into two more parameters. We use one for the normal spidering and the other one for the Ajax spidering. And for this demo, I will set the normal spidering value to false because spidering takes time, and that time depends upon the size of the application and how much the URLs that application contain inside it. So let's keep it short and simple. So I set the value to false and then I kill this build.
Okay, so basically, due to our application is a payment application, we won't be showing the actual application, but we would be willing to show every aspect of the automation that we have performed. So this is the TFS web interface that you see right in front of you, and we would be running our automation from TFS. Since our application is quite big, we would be running this whole scan on passive scan, and we would be switching off all the spidering, the Ajax spidering, and we would be switching off the spidering and active scan too.
Now you will see here the console that is showing us all the things that are going behind the system. Basically, now the PowerShell script will be run that set the values, that grab the values from the TFS and then set it over our on the agent machine. And here you will see ZAP will be open with that provided URL. Now you will see the URL of our application that we provide over the TFS. And now you can see the ZAP is trying to log inside the application, and you will see the message here. It takes a little bit time. Yeah, here you see login is successful. Let me wait. I'll show you here. And then it performed scan, it generate report for it. When I will refresh my link, the report will be attached here in the artifact section.
So as we can see, the status of build succeeded is displayed to us. Let's see the report that is automatically attached in the TFS build. So we actually automated the whole thing from TFS. So if we would be giving this this automation to another person in our team, he wouldn't be going to the agent machine. He would be just using the TFS to grab that report. So let's see the report of the gauge that is being used. Basically, the gauge is displaying different specs, different scenarios. How much time it took to run the OWASP ZAP? It took around 34 seconds. And then it set the context for OWASP ZAP. Basically, a context is where you tell the ZAP a bunch of things, which are target URL, login request data, and login indicator, and username and password. And then it went in and started this spidering. And after that, it went in and did the passive scan. And after the scan, it generated the ZAP report. So let's see the ZAP report as well. This is basically gauge report is for doing the troubleshooting of the automation that is being done. And this report would be our application report. which lists a basic report of OWASP ZAP. Like there are 6 medium issues, and there are 7 low issues and 0 high issues. And most of the issues are again categorized through OWASP ZAP reporting policy. And anyone, any layman or any developer type of person or any security focused person could go through this report and figure out that what is something wrong with this report. Once again, security automation done as what we have understood from ZAP, the keys from ZAP, YouTube and everything. So this was our demo. The future improvements would be basically, we would be adding in new parameters for decreasing or increasing the breadth or depth of spidering, Ajax spidering. We actually felt it when we were giving the demo of this ZAPCon. We felt that we haven't been done this thing. If we have been doing this aspect of as well, we would have shown you complete spidering of Ajax spidering as well. Again, this option is in OWASP ZAP software. We just have to enable it through our automation. Then we have to decrease the active scan policy as per need, and then we have to implement the testing to be done for the APIs. We are developing APIs as well, and for APIs we would be doing the same set of automations. And we have done another aspect of saving the sessions in OWASP the ZAP and then using them as well. We just haven't shown you in the demo yet. So that's about it. That's about us displaying the whole how we implemented ZAP in our environment. Thank you so much. If you have any further questions, we would be available on Discord server.
Awesome, Salman and Hamad. Thank you so much for your talk. I really love seeing how you guys work through all this automation stuff with ZAP and using TFS and lots of other great things. Everyone in the chat, please give Salman and Hamad a nice thank you clap. I've got a couple of questions for you. I did want staying up late. You guys are up at midnight plus your time, so thank you for staying up late and hanging out with us at ZAPCon.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Yeah, let me ask you. Sorry, go ahead.
The pleasure is all ours.
Oh yeah, awesome. Let me ask you guys, what drew you to ZAP for this project? What you were working on here?
Well, I would say when we were security testing our applications, we went in towards many commercial applications and everything. But no other application came as close as what OWASP was offering. It was really offering us the API controls, the inner controls that we could use in our own application. I mean, the whole ecosystem of OWASP ZAP is such that you could control different aspects of your application. You could actually talk to OWASP ZAP in terms of commands like login into application using this form, and then do all your security testing and all those stuff. So once you know all those stuff, then automating is just solving a piece of puzzle. So that's what we did. We are a product company, as you have seen from the whole bunch of clients that we have. And usually the projects come in form of same product. We developed a product and we make the same product go live in multiple banks. So basically, doing a manual security testing once makes sense, but more than once it really doesn't make sense, and it has to be automated the next time. And that's what I have been doing in my team, in my company, to automate the security stuff. We have also automated the hardening aspects of security as well, but OWASP ZAP doesn't touches on those aspects. OWASP ZAP is primarily, and it focuses on application security testing, and it really does that well. So that's why we have chosen OWASP
Awesome.
to be integrated into our security pipeline.
There was a good question in Discord here. Somebody followed up with, why did you stop using NetSparker?
Once again, that's the same reason. We used NetSparker, we used Acunetics, we used I guess there was one other name by the name of IBM AppScan, but none of them came as close as OWASP ZAP in automation. Basically, those tools are very very good tools. They come with a heavy price, but they don't allow automation to be as close and as good as OWASP ZAP offers it. Plus, OWASP ZAP, it gets updated in due time. It has community plugins. It has many bunch of other stuff. If you really go into them, it is much more beneficial to use OWASP ZAP than state-of-the-art other softwares as well. I'm not saying one should not use it, but if one is targeting automation, security automation, then OWASP ZAP is the way to go.
Awesome. Good feedback. So I mentioned in Discord, I hadn't seen TFS in quite a long time. And asked the question if anyone else was using TFS, and somebody mentioned they were transitioning to Azure DevOps. How long did it take you guys to set up TFS with all those environment variables and the configuration? And is that some kind of configuration that you've made available for other TFS users to at least baseline or kind of get a start in setting up their TFS systems?
Well, I would say we actually run our own agile sprints, in my own team, and we do automate. It took us around, I would say, 2 or 3 months, Ahmad, to make the whole framework ready. And once the framework is ready, then all we have to do is make up the sessions for the whole application, and do the manual proxifying of the application. Once this bit is done, we could plug and play in our TFS API ecosystem. Ahmad could explain it in a much greater detail. Ahmad, can you explain a bit about it?
What Salman bhai?
How long did we take to automate this whole stuff?
It takes about, I think, 3 to 4 weeks for the automation purpose.
So almost a month once we get a new product. But our framework is developed now, and we continue using this framework. And when we give this whole thing to another implementation team or a deployment team, we just give what Hamad has shown from TFS, that he'll be kicking off the build and then grabbing the reports from it. So that's what we do. The deployment team, they don't have to write a single line of code. They just have to use those variables to enter the URL, the username and password, so that their environment could be scanned and do all this stuff.
Awesome. Is that TFS configuration something that you guys have made or could make available to people that also have TFS to kind of like get a jump start on the work that you've done that took quite a long time, to be able to get them into a spot where they can iterate quickly? Or is it too proprietary to release?
No, that's TFS information. It's all on Microsoft MSDN, how to jumpstart with the build. We use the documentation of TFS on-prem build releases. Then we use the documentation of Gauge that I have just shown you, and then we had the knowledge of Python development. So it was basically it's taking bits and pieces from TFS aspect, taking things from Gauge aspect, and then the Python aspect, and then putting everything in one project and then deploying it on TFS. So it was we could make a document for people to get a head start, I would definitely say I would leave my Twitter handles, and I would leave Hamad's Twitter handles to reach out to us, and we'll be open to help you out for if it is in DFS aspect, if it is in Gauge aspect, or if it is in ZAP aspect. We would be willing to help you out.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Keep that talk going or that chat going in the Discord channel. I'm sure you guys will be hanging out in there. Somebody asked how many applications you guys are scanning that way, and does every bank or customer have their own application, or is it a subset of all the applications? How many times are you scanning, and how many applications are you scanning?
Very good question. Well, we have I would say 5 or 6 different types of modules in our application. We call different products as different modules in our whole application, and we scan them at least. We are thinking to scan them at least once every week. That could range from running the scanning on Friday nights, and then on Monday mornings we come and see what result it gave us, and we have given this automation to 1 or 2 of our deployment teams, and we are still waiting feedbacks from them.
Awesome. I do have a question for you guys about what's it called?
Okay, there's another question by PSIN, the founder of ZAP.
Yeah.
He's asking, so you could use the latest specific version for you. Well, when we started the automation, we didn't went for Dockers. ZAP API actually allows the one API allows to update the whole ZAP that is running. So we generally update the whole ZAP so that it grabs the all latest scans, latest active scan, latest plugin, everything in its repository. So once we are running the security scan, we are sure that ZAP is updated with its very latest version. So we do that in the start of our every scan.
Awesome. Hey, I had a question for you guys about Gauge. That's the first time I kind of have seen Gauge, and I'm curious how else you use that in your CI process or in other areas of the software application delivery process.
Well, I actually saw a video of Gauge from Abhay Bhaka, one of the previous speaker in this ZAPCon, and I took that idea from his video and we used it. So right now we are the only ones using Gauge. My other QA teams, they are using some other frameworks, not the Gauge right now, as far as I know.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems really cool, and it looks like it could be integrated well with some of the unit tests that you might have to run on an application, or some of the integration tests, just to make sure they're executing in the right time frame or what you would expect as a time frame. So super interesting to see that. I really appreciate you bringing that up. And you guys are using the Java version, the jar of ZAP, right? Have you experimented with the Docker version of ZAP at all?
We haven't. When we were, automating our own framework, I didn't come across the Docker version of ZAP. Let's just say I didn't, explore it well. We have been exploring it, and yes, we might have plans to, move our automation to Docker versions of ZAP. That is quite easier, and it is a lot more easier to maintain in terms of infrastructure and machine as well.
Awesome. And I suppose you're super excited about the automation framework that Simon announced, to be able to get that piped together with all the things you're doing to make it just that much easier. Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Let's see. What other questions do we have? How many exploits does ZAP find when it's automated?
Okay. Well, it depends on the type of automations or the type of hardening that we have done. Like I said, we do the hardening on IIS on Apache server as well, and we have been using CIS controls to do that as well. And it depends on how the machines have been hardened, on how the web server has been hardened, and lastly how the code has been written. So I couldn't you say the exact number of how many exploits does ZAP find, but in terms of automation, I would say ZAP provides us the assurance in security testing that if you don't employ a manual security tester in an engagement, then at least ZAP would provide you an assurance of around 60 to 70% that this application is clear if there are no high priority bugs are reported. Medium and low priority bugs, in my own experience, they usually tend towards server configuration or the mix of code fix or server configuration. The high priority bugs are mostly code fixes like SQL injection attacks, XXX attacks, and CSRF attacks. So those attacks, they are generally dealt with code fixes. So if you're having zero high priority bugs or high severity bugs, you could say that you have covered around 60 to 70% of the application. The rest, 40 to 30%, has to be tested with a manual intervention of security engineer. That's the way I look at security aspect of my organization. Many other people would have different opinions around it. So that's the way I look at it.
No, that's a good point. I think, in my experience, the automated ZAP scans find most of the things that are really good, that automation is really good at finding. It doesn't find things that are hard to find. That is what manual pen testers are for, or that kind of business logic flow error. Like I put something in the cart and then I went to the checkout page and then I changed the value in the cart and then it did something. Those kinds of things aren't great for automation, no matter where you're doing it. So I agree with you that having that kind of automation to go, I haven't made really, really bad, easy to find mistakes in this application is super valuable. And then, there's a litany of other tools and processes and people that can continue to add value on top of that. And I like to think of that as like, if you're going to implement a bug bounty program, if you get through all the ZAP issues that ZAP can find, that means your bug bounty people aren't going to find all the same issues and just hit you with your anti-CSRF tokens aren't there, or your content security policy isn't right, and just nickel and dime you to death on your bug bounty program, but they're actually going to be finding really highly valuable stuff because it's hard to find.
Absolutely right. I agree with you on these points. 100% agree. Absolutely right.
Awesome. Any other questions in the Discord channel? Anybody need to ask Ahmad and Salman anything before we go? I think we're right on time, so we'll probably just go to break here, and then we've got the last session coming up. Any other last questions for these guys? And obviously they'll be hanging out. I know it's probably time for them to take a nap, but maybe they've got a couple Red Bulls sitting around and power through some of the questions in Discord. And that Discord channel is going to be there for quite some time, so you can obviously engage them today, tomorrow, if you're watching this later, all those good things. Doesn't look like there's any other questions. Salman and Hamad, thank you so much for your time and your presentation today on automating ZAP and doing it in TFS. Super good stuff.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was an honor to be on ZAPCon to share what we did in our application, in our organization. It was really an honor to come as speaker and showcase what we have done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to your whole team, to everyone doing the ZAPCon, the first ever ZAP.
Awesome. You guys, thank you. We're going to go to a break. We're going to have like a 10-minute break. Our next one is enhancing ZAP with feedback-based fuzzing. Should start at in about 9 minutes, so 20 minutes till the top of the hour. We'll be back and we'll have our last session of the day, and then we'll follow that with Q&A and closing ceremonies.